You say no. Okay, but wait. No. It's okay. It's okay. I understand that you said no. But wait, listen. No, okay, wait, 5 minutes. Give me a sec. You throw me from the door, I come in from the window.
Well, I believe that we will switch a little bit from the painful pages of our past into our bright future.
Don't forget that we have also almost 2,000 years of common life of Ukrainians and Jews in this country. I mean, you can find Jewish traces in Kyiv from the 2nd century. There is a wall there with a synagogue, of a synagogue, presumed synagogue. I mean, the people are not there to tell that it was a synagogue. So, and if you know the Kievan documents, you heard about the Kievan documents? Kievan document of Kiev, Kievan document. So the Jewish community, where they have a problem of a guy who has a lot of debts, and he was taken by the, I think it was the Khazar who was in charge at the time. So he was taken into prison. The community do not have money in order to take him out, and so they write to all the Jewish community. So they send a guy, they put the name of the guy on the letter, and so it means that a little bit before the times that you say that was here a city, there was a city, and there was a Jewish community here in problems. Again, that we talked about stereotypes, so you see they were not rich. We are talking about education, and we are talking about building a common world against all the stereotypes and against all the false ideas and all the fake news and so on. And if people understand the strong life that we had here together and how it came down, I think that we will find a way. I'm sure.
Yes.
Let's continue.
So let's move slightly to the economic block of questions. You have
Please.
already mentioned that Ukraine and Israel now have the free trade agreement, which is in force as of January, if I'm not mistaken. So now is the time to look at the result. Are there already some benefits that we can see, and what are the next steps? Is there any room for improvement?
There's always room for improvement. The one who will tell you that something is perfect is not born today. The agreement came into force January the 1st. We don't see anything right now. We are making a lot of publicity about it, asking the entrepreneurs to look at it, to understand, to see what are the needs in Ukraine, what are the needs in Israel, to make business, because we as a government, Ukraine and Israel, our role was to ease the world of business. That's what we did, and now we cannot do more. You know, we say in Hebrew that you can bring the kalb to the cow, but he has to drink by himself. So that's the point. So we really hope that people will take the opportunities, that we worked very hard in order to have this agreement, in order to have this free trade zone between our countries, and to use it.
It's a great step, actually, and we very happy about it. You will soon go back to Israel. What Ukrainian products will you miss and would like to have an opportunity to buy at home, except for Odessa cognac?
So
and beer, Kyiv, not Kiev.
Exactly. So yeah, beer. I really appreciate your beer in Ukraine. really good beer. I said in one of my interviews, and the people were amazed, that you know that the Jewish food that we're eating in Israel and the Ukrainian food that you are eating and making a fuss about it is the same. The name is a little bit different because it comes from the same. We talked about this life together of people in villages without any money. So in Israel we call it the Galician borscht.
Голубці.
Galicia.
Galician borscht, that's okay. What about голубці, a cabbage stuffed with rice and meat? Do you have something similar?
Of
like
course,
голубці?
of course, memulaim, of
Memulaim.
course we have it. We have the krepler. The krepler is a dumpling in the soup. In the soup.
Вареники в бульйоні.
Bouillon, вареники bouillon. The farsh,
З начинкою.
farsh riba.
Фарширована
Farshirana
риба.
riba, which is called gefilte fish,
Ага.
which is actually, that's the Jews who brought it to you. Because
Along with форшмак.
along with Verschmack, of course, and we can continue. So that's what's good. I mean, you're interviewing a lot of ambassadors. They cannot say the same that when they go home, they're eating again the same stuff. I mean, okay. Yeah, so for food, it's okay. For beer, it will be okay. And
Ambassador of Sweden told us that I've never given much thought to Ukrainian food, but once I tried it, I can't think about anything else. So there is a lot of stuff you will miss, but you will find something similar at home.
exactly.
Right?
Or when I was here, I didn't miss the stuff that I had at home. You can see it also like this.
You once said that Israeli investors still don't very happy about coming to Ukraine. Why? What
They're
exactly scares them? And do you see any steps Ukraine is taking to improve the situation with the investment climate?
They're still scared. They're still scared. Ukraine is working on it. Ukraine is trying to reform the country, to have a better transparency, to have less corruption. But you need a stronger judiciary. You need a judiciary system that people trust. And the moment that you will have trust in this system, then you will see investors. Because it's not only from Israel that you don't have the big investors and the big companies. You don't have them neither from the United States, neither from Germany. Look around you and understand that there is still a lot of things to do. Yes, you are in a good way, but I don't know. People are scared. People are scared to come here to buy something and then to have somebody coming to the, the court somewhere, and he paid the judge. And the judge says, no, you couldn't take it, you took it over illegally, and he takes everything. You need more reforms. You are in a good way. You need more reforms. You wanted the truth.
Yes, of course. The truth only.
That's the truth.
So let's speak about the reform of the IT sector. The IT sector in Israel is fantastic, it is outstanding, and the country has understood long ago that digitalization is the development path. And the girls wrote to me that there are thousands of startups in the country, the biggest amount of them around the world. It's the figure of 6,000 startups, but I think that it is already outdated. I think that every day some new startups begin.
Every Israeli wants to have his startup, so.
That's cool. Well, in Ukraine we have quite a similar I hope, similar situation because every Ukrainian wants to have a startup, and the IT sector is quite developing and it's very promising. It already gives 4% of the GDP of Ukraine. So what could be the advice from the Israeli side? What could be the steps to make the conditions for the IT sector in Ukraine more favorable, more transparent and comfortable?
It's not for 10 minutes interview, and it's a long thing to do. First of all, you have 15,000 Ukrainians who are working for Israeli IT companies and staying in Ukraine. That's what's good also. They don't have to go out of Ukraine in order to do it, outsourcing in Ukraine, and it works. And why is it good also for Ukraine? Because when they leave the Israeli company, they learned how the Israeli company is working, and they built their own company on this basis, and it works, and it goes on. The point was when it began, and there is a great book written by Dan Senior, which is called Israel Startup Nation, which shows the ecosystem. The ecosystem of Israel between the army, the public sector, and the private sector, and the universities. So this ecosystem, because of the needs of the army, the universities developed more engineers and IT experts. Now, the public sector was ready after these engineers went and gave to the army, and they want to go to the private sector. The public sector was ready to go and finance and take the risk of financing this startup. So that was the beginning, in 2 words, of all this ecosystem. The second thing is, it's the Israeli mentality. We never take no as a no. You say no, okay, but wait, no, it's okay, I understand that you said no, but wait, listen. No, okay, wait, 5 minutes. Here is it. You throw me from the door, I come in from the window. It's not the point. And that's the first thing. The second thing is, besides education that we talked before, the second thing is, we're not afraid to ask. It's called chutzpah, Israeli chutzpah. I mean,
resistive, or I don't know.
If
We
a
should
girl,
have a word
if
for
a
this.
girl wants to go out with a guy, she's asking him. If a guy wants to go out with a girl, of course he's asking. He doesn't care. But that's the chutzpah. We're not afraid to ask. Okay, so I have a good startup. I know it. What, you don't believe me? Come on. You are not good because you don't believe me. That's to be straight up. The third point is, we're not afraid to fail. If you fail, it's good, because you learned, and the next time you will be better. So if you take these 4 things, plus education, 5 things, plus also the old Jewish mentality of not taking anything for granted, and always ask the opposite.
That's great. Have you heard anything about the new initiative of the Ministry for Digital Transformation, DSCT, trying to build these conditions for the startups?
I heard about a lot of things. I know that we are working also together, because they are learning from us a lot of things. We are working with Unit City together. We are working with the governmental granting authority. They give grants to startups. So yes, we are working together, and we are sharing experience. Yeah.
Do you believe in success of those special tax regime for IT, special legal regime for IT that were gonna boost the sector?
I don't know,
It's too
but
early
it
to
worked in
ask.
Israel. I mean, the fact that we have in Israel the research and development centers of Microsoft, of Apple, etc. Yes, it attracts. But then you have the other problems that we talked before, and you have to find a way.
We know that Israel reopened its doors to Ukrainians. No, I saw that news 2 days ago.
Everyone saw that news, and I didn't understand
Please explain us.
Why they wrote
What is the situation with the access to Israel?
Israel is closed to foreigners, not only to Ukrainians. Israel is closed to foreigners. Full stop.
Fake news?
So,
Not fake news, misunderstanding. Because if you are married to an Israeli and you are a foreigner, you can ask here at the embassy to come to Israel. If you are a parent of an Israeli citizen, you can ask. There are some cases that you can ask. It means it was totally closed to Ukrainians, that's true, that even not a special request. And now you can make special requests in special situations. July the 1st, Israel will open to 40 countries, but only to groups of tourists who will be vaccinated. Ukraine is not a part of these countries, but that's the first step to reopen to foreigners. So it's not fake news, I think it's misunderstanding of what happened.
I see.
But welcome.
We will one day.
After my second shot.
And after Ukraine is on the list.
As
of
Ukraine
countries.
is on
After
the list.
Ukraine will be included
Yeah.
to the list. Because that would help much to restore the tourism sector in Israel. We all suffered all these years, so now we have to learn how to boost the sector that provided the GDP with money.
Tourism sector is very important, but the fact that also Israeli couldn't go abroad compensated the fact that people didn't come to Israel. Because if you let Israelis go abroad, there will not be anyone in the hotels in Israel. So even though that I think it's better to be in a hotel in Israel, but that's another question. So this helped. Now Israelis can go abroad to some countries who are open for them, so it's good.
So back to the tourism sector and to the Ukrainians' heart. We know that Ukraine is quite a popular place to visit for the Israeli people, especially for the pilgrims and for the regional tourism. We know such places as Uman, as Medjugorje. Apart from religious tourism, what other destinations could you recommend to the Israeli people to attend?
Listen, religious tourism to Ukraine is a very small part of the Israeli tourism to Ukraine. Before COVID, you had 300,000 Israelis who came to Ukraine. They didn't went all to Uman or Medjugorje or Haditch. Popular places for Israelis. And if you go there, you hear Hebrew all the time. Odessa.
Yes.
Odessa is full of Israelis. Because Odessa, you have the 3S, okay?
Odessa.
Name?
Should I name it?
Yeah,
On record?
of course.
Sea, Sex and Sun.
We will use it as a teaser.
Cut! Beside it, you have a lot of historical places in Odessa who are very interesting that people are coming, and it's not a joke. Kiev is attractive for Israelis. Israelis love to come to Kiev. Food we talked about, entertainment, shopping. So they like to come here. Don't forget that in Israel we have also 500,000 people who originally came from Ukraine. So I know people who are going on vacation to Zhytomyr because the family came from there. So yes, so not only a religious tourism.
Israel is now in the forefront of fight against coronavirus, showing record numbers of vaccination in the world. My congratulations of that, because we here in Ukraine see how uneasy it is to organize the process, first because of perhaps ignorance of a couple of some part of the population, second information, hostile attacks from the unfriendly countries, which make Ukrainians think that getting a vaccine is not the best thing that can happen to them. Have you had related problems in Israel? And what, I put it here, how exactly has Israel received such a high level of trust in vaccination?
First of all, I have to say that since Tuesday, there are no masks anymore in Israel. Life is back.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
It comes to the first questions that you ask about the tourists coming back. That's the reasons that the country is closed. Because if we want to live normally, we can only accept vaccinated people in order to be sure. I think that understanding that the risks of getting corona were higher than, the risk connected to the coronavirus and what you have also after it, because now we know that it's not only the period of time where you were sick, but also after it you have some problematics who are continuing, are higher, that all the risks that you can think about from the vaccine was one point. Second point was a massive propaganda, I will call it, in all the media. Go and be vaccinated. Free of charge. It's good for the country, it's good for you, because then we can go back to normal life. That was all the incentive in this thing. Not because pizza was given out free when you got a shot, or for younger people in Tel Aviv you could have shots in a bar if you come, or cholent. You know what is cholent?
What is?
Cholent is I'm sure you have it in Ukraine also, because it's a Jewish meal. You put together beans and potatoes and meat, and you let it for hours on the fire. So in some neighborhoods that's what they got, but no. And I don't think it's because we had mobile vaccination buses in front of office buildings telling the people, come on, now you have the choice to do it. I don't think, no, but I think it helps. The fact that every day you heard on TV and radio, come, we have free shots, come on now, even if it's not your turn, you can come, and so on, and people were running. So that's one thing. Of course, there are populations who were against, there are populations who are still not vaccinated and don't want to be vaccinated. But now, because 90% of the country is vaccinated, you don't care. It's not a problem.
Yeah, the critical percentage
it's gone. So okay, vaccine. So because they are against any kind of vaccines. So anyhow, you won't be in contact with them. I mean, but that's the point. And it was in all languages, in Arabic, in Ethiopian, in Amharic, in Russian, in French, in whatever language possible. And celebrities were taken in, and massive campaign.
That's what
Massive campaign
brought you to success.
That was the only thing that you heard about.
That's what we should do here.
Mobilization of everyone and only talking about this. How, if we manage to have it, we are going back to normal life. But you have to get the trust of the people, what we talked before. So if you have the trust of the people, it works. And even groups who are not trusting the government trust some celebrities, some other people.
So, Mr. Ambassador, as we're coming to an end of our conversation, I would like to ask the very last question that we traditionally ask all the guests, all the ambassadors. What should the viewers and listeners of Kyiv, not Kiev, keep in mind after they see the interview with the ambassador of Israel to Ukraine?
That Israel and Ukraine are friends, and that we will continue to be friends.
Great. That's great.
So we came to the very end of our conversation. Today our guest was Ambassador of Israel to Ukraine, Mr. Joel Lion. Thank you for being our guest. Thank you for hosting us in the embassy. The pleasure was ours.
Thank you for the brilliant conversation. Thank you for teaching us some things that we have not known about.
I'm sorry if I was like a teacher.
No, that's okay. That's all the dialogue
and I hope that, I hope that we brought something to everyone.
That's the part of that dialogue we mentioned in the conversation.
Exactly.
These were Polina Bachuk and Tetiana Hajduk.
Stay safe and kind. Remember that Kyiv, not Kiev. Mr. Ambassador, am I right? It's Kyiv, not Kiev.
Of course.
Of course it
Kyiv.
is. What?
Kyiv.
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 Not Kiev.
Not
Kyiv.
Kiev. Kyiv.
Kyiv.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
right. That was Kyiv, not Kiev. Kyiv, not Kiev. From Ukraine with love.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
That is it. Yeah.